I figured out who the Warriors are, Ray. I've seen the Matrix. Like, I get it now, and this was an incredibly difficult team to describe to anybody up to this point in the year. Wouldn't you agree? Like, how would you describe the Golden State Warriors? They got the best starting five by an awful lot, and then everything else about the team is a sequence of incompletes and don't knows that is incredibly frustrating to look at and watch play. And it feels like every game has a timeline of, yeah, they look really good, and man, this could turn into an easy game for them. You might even be able to rest Steph Curry. And then, oh no, something happened in the second or third quarter, and now the fourth quarter is a barn burner for no reason whatsoever. It used to not be like that, but that's the way it is now. Like, every game almost plays out that way.
Yeah, no, they're a team that is, I think, long on want to, but short on details. The truth is, when this team operates as we've seen it in the past, it's been real good on the small stuff. You know, the only thing you can say about them that is a demerit over the entire run of this team is they're not careful with the basketball. But it has not gotten in the way. Not last year, not 2015, not this year. But they are fouling too much, and that's been going on all year. They rely too heavily on the three rather than, work the basketball and get the best shot in the possession. They're clearly impatient there. The difference between their young guys and their old guys is marked. And I don't know that this has been a terribly smooth transition, but largely it's, defense and details. And since defense is details, that's what I would say is the one common theme, is that they've been kind of shoddy on that.
You know what the Golden State Warriors have become, Ray? They've become the team that Charles Barkley was completely wrong about all those years ago. Remember when Barkley, before the championship, would say that the Golden State Warriors are a jump shooting team, and jump shooting teams don't win titles? I mean, Charles went to the bank with that. Charles, that was his favorite talking point. The Warriors are a jump shooting team, and jump shooting teams don't win championships. That is beyond just an offensive description. When Charles Barkley would say jump shooting team, what he was also implying is they're finesse everywhere, they're not really powerful anywhere, and defense is not on their list of things to accomplish in any game that they're really going to play in. That's what he meant when he said jump shooting team. He didn't just mean this is a team that shoots a lot of jump shots. And that's what the Warriors are. The Warriors are that jump shooting team that Charles Barkley was warning you about. Now they have time to correct it. They can be better than just that, but it really is who they are right now, Ray. It truly is. They have become a jump shooting team. They're number one in the NBA in three-pointers made. They're number one in the NBA in three-pointers attempted. They are fifth in the NBA with the best three-point shooting percentage. So, probably shooting too much, but you want to keep shooting them. It is an efficient way for them to go about scoring. They're number one in assists. They still move the ball. They got a crackerjack offense, second best in basketball. They're 29th in two-point attempts. That's not just jump shots from in the paint. That's layups. That's at the rim. They're 29th in two-point attempts. They are 29th in fouls. They are 29th in turnovers. They're 30th in free throw attempts. 30th. Folks, that's a jump shooting team. This is everything that Charles Barkley told you and warned you about. He misdiagnosed it. All of the accusations of them being a jump shooting team in the past were totally wrong, because that team, although it did play an offensive style reminiscent of this with a little bit more efficiency, they played defense harder than anybody. They were a top 5 defensive basketball team every single year. And that is the difference, and completely disqualified them from the labeling of you're a jump shooting team. Charles never was able to see that. He was never able to admit that he was wrong in his evaluation, because when you say that's a jump shooting team, you're also saying they don't play any defense. That Warriors team did. This Warriors team does not.
But in fairness to Barkley, when he first saw the Warriors, that was the assumption that everybody made. Well, they're too soft. They settle for the threes too much, and they were a slightly better version of the Houston Rockets that everybody also made fun of because they said you can't take 43s a game. Well, the Warriors ended up changing the way the game is played in a number of ways, including, 3-point volume. But you're right. Their defense has not been consistent. It has not been a positive force in their development. I mean, they've abandoned the thing that took them from really good to great.
Well,
and the young guys are the ones who get it least of all. I mean, Kuminga has figured out, okay, this is who they want me to be. But I don't think you get that from Poole. I think he is clearly the embodiment of this Warriors team. It's his fourth year now, and frankly, he's been, I don't want to say resistant to the culture, but he hasn't embraced it to the point where he recognizes, you know what, I'm more than a shooter. And if he's going to be anything other than Monte Ellis, he's got to become that. It's not a choice. And I'm not just saying here. If he ends up on another team,
same problem.
He's got to be able to envision a wider form of the game that isn't Poole-centric. And I don't mean to pick on him because other guys.
No, but he's emblematic of the whole damn team.
Yeah. I just think that, when he shoots poorly, what else does he give you? And I'm not sure that the answer is consistently, he'll defend and he passes and he sees the floor and he really gives you quality minutes. I don't know if that's true.
I mean, look, the areas and departments that they need to start correcting don't even need major corrections. Like, this team doesn't have to go from 29th in fouls to 9th. They don't have to improve 20 places. Just improve 9 plays. Get to 20th in fouls. Get to 20th in turnovers instead of being 29th. Get to 20th instead of being 30th in free throw attempts. Tiny little corrections that improve you marginally in your worst categories. Get this team 6, 7, 8, 9 games over 500. And all of a sudden, you start correcting those areas. Well, that's a little bit better defense, isn't it? It's amazing how it all goes together and it's all connected. We're going to have much more on all that in Warriors Live. I don't even know if we're going to have a lot of time, Ray, to get into our wish list for officiating. That could maybe be pushed into tomorrow's show. It is an evergreen topic after all. This is Stacy in Oakland. Stacy, thanks for the call. Thanks for listening. You're on with Damon and Ratto.
Hey, guys. Love the show. I'm a regular listener. You guys are great.
Thank you.
Now, first off, Niners. I could be totally off base here. Can they afford Taysom Hill and that 4-year, $40 million? He would be great for their RPO offense. He can play multiple positions. Maybe he and Trey could share the load, and Brock could keep developing.
I don't think Taysom is a solution at all. And if anything, Trey Lance needs to become a better version of Taysom Hill than bring in a version of Taysom Hill that is Taysom Hill. So, but I love thinking outside the box.
Yeah, working together, you never know. Only point of contention for the Warriors is sloppy turnovers. I mean, we talk about it all the time, fouls and turnovers and so forth, but there are some easy things that they can clean up that can limit that number. And y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. They're playing 6 guys, the other team and the refs. They've got to be more conscientious of that. That nifty passing and beautiful ball movement that they do, all that's well and good. Stepping out of bounds, all the traveling. I'll take your responses off the air, guys.
Yeah, I mean, clean up the self-inflicted wounds, the unforced errors, the drive to the bucket that went off your ankle, because there's a lot of weird drives to the bucket that go off your ankle, Jordan Poole. Those are the types of correctable errors. Again, when you are 29th in turnovers, that's not just guys in your hip pocket all night long, just gaffling you. That's you being sloppy. And there's a level of Warriors being a little bit sloppy that has always kind of gone hand in hand with their heavy assist offense. Again, when the ball's hopping around, sometimes it hops out of bounds too, but that should be 2 or 3 times in a game. not 2 or 3 times in a half. And that's when it really gets frustrating, when it becomes 2 or 3 times in a quarter. I mean, they were really sloppy with the ball against, what was it, Toronto? Was that the game where they just had 14 first-half turnovers and it felt like they all happened in the span of the first 5 minutes of the game?
Yeah, that was seriously bad hockey.
Yeah, it really was. So, be anything less than practically dead last in self-inflicted wound categories. And to me, 29th in 2-point attempts, 29th in fouls, 29th in turnovers, 30th in free throw attempts, those are self-inflicted categories more than they just are the straight-up excellent defensive effort that you're facing. Because I'm watching these games and you're not facing excellent defensive efforts game in, game out by every team in the league. Nobody in this league's playing any defense yet, basically, except the Celtics a little.
Celtics, the Knicks,
the Bucks.
I mean, there are a few teams that defend, but
the Denver Nuggets a little.
No, the Denver Nuggets more than you would think.
Yeah.
But the Warriors' big problem is that being 29th, it's not just being 29th, it's being dramatically worse than they were a year ago, especially turnovers. They usually would float around high 14s.
Yeah.
They're now 16 and a half. And it's not the number, but it's the way that they don't get the turnover possession back by defending at the other end. They used to be able to minimize damage and turnovers by defending at the other end, getting the ball back.
Transition defense. And Steve's talking about that. It's like this first nitpicking topic of the year. He hated their transition defense, and he probably doesn't like it more now.
Well, no, because he's mentioned since then that he hates everybody's transition defense. And that's why he thinks so many games are in the 120s and so many guys are getting 40 and 50 a night.
We're going to hear from Steve Kerr on some road wins, which they actually are beginning to accumulate in, dare I say, bunches. I don't know if we're ready for that, but
clumps.
It's probably more accurate. Clumps of road wins. Can they clump one together tonight in Minnesota? We're going to come on back and talk about that. We will hear from Steph Curry on a little load management, and Bob Myers stopped on by with Steiny and Guru today. We're going to have that for you as we slip on into Warriors Live here on 95.7 The Game.